In this video, we present the various equity issue mitigation strategies considered in Work Package 8 of the Prix project. Our aim is to work with you to identify contacts in each of the participating countries so that we can better understand how these strategies are applied in each healthcare system. In this context, equity refers to the principle of granting access to innovative and costly treatment based on need rather than financial means. Equity encompasses considerations of access to medicines between countries, which may or may not be influenced by risk-sharing mechanisms. It also encompasses access between hospitals within the same country, which can be influenced by the add-on list, as well as access between patients with different or similar conditions, which we believe is encouraged by the add-on list in France. However, financing equity can be highly expensive, particularly for drugs that are exceptionally costly or intended for small populations. On the other hand, economic efficiency refers to the concept that in a healthcare system with limited financial resources, the allocation of these resources should maximize collective utility. The goal is to ensure that each year spent yields the greatest possible benefit. This may involve restricting access to extremely expensive treatments if they are not deemed to be the most effective option, or favoring less expensive alternatives. Thus, the trade-off between fairness and efficiency becomes central to our considerations regarding drug-related public health issues. Drug out-of-pocket refers to the expenses or costs that individuals have to pay directly from their own funds for prescription medications. These costs are not covered or reimbursed by insurance or other third-party sources. Drug out-of-pocket expenses include co-payments, co-insurance, deductibles, or the full cost of the medication if it is not covered by insurance. The out-of-pocket associated with prescription drugs can represent an excessive financial burden. Equity issue mitigation strategies are therefore needed in order to promote affordability and equitable access to necessary medication. There are different types of out-of-pocket mitigation mechanisms. Some common types include income-based cost sharing. Implementing income-based cost sharing mechanisms can help ensure that individuals with lower incomes face lower out-of-pocket expenses for prescription drugs. This approach provides targeted assistance to those who may struggle with affordability. Exemption or reduction for specific populations. Offering exemptions or reduced cost sharing for vulnerable populations, such as low-income individuals, elderly individuals, or those with chronic illnesses, helps alleviate the financial burden of prescription drugs on those who may be most affected by high costs. Maximum out-of-pocket limits. Setting maximum limits on out-of-pocket expenses for prescription drugs ensures that individuals, regardless of their income or health conditions, are protected from excessive financial burdens. Universal health coverage. Establishing or strengthening universal health coverage systems that include comprehensive coverage for prescription drugs helps ensure that all individuals have equal access to necessary medication without significant out-of-pocket expenses. Patient assistance programs. Establishing patient assistance programs in collaboration with pharmaceutical companies can provide financial support or discounts for individuals who face high out-of-pocket expenses for certain medication. These programs aim to make necessary treatments more affordable and accessible. Risk-sharing contracts are designed to distribute the risk between the manufacturer and the public payer. This risk primarily consists of financial implication for the manufacturer who seeks to innovate, as well as for the public payer who may be exposed to costly drugs that could potentially destabilize its financial model. Additionally, there is a performance risk associated with health outcomes. If a drug does not perform as expected in real-world scenarios, the public payer may achieve a lower cost-effectiveness ratio than initially projected. The objective of risk-sharing is to mitigate these risks. Consequently, two primary types of risk-sharing contracts exist: performance contracts and purely financial contracts. The Prix diagrams illustrate this concept. Risk-sharing contracts of result or performance type are commonly regarded as beneficial for both efficiency and equity. These contracts aim to achieve not only economic goals for the health system, but also improved access to treatments. By linking the reimbursement of drugs to their real-world performance and outcomes, these contracts incentivize manufacturers to deliver effective and cost-effective therapies. As a result, they align economic efficiency with the objective of ensuring equitable access to innovative treatments. In contrast, Purely financial contracts are typically associated with the primary objective of economic efficiency. These contracts focus on managing the financial burden of expensive drugs without directly linking reimbursement to treatment outcomes. The emphasis is primarily on controlling costs and optimizing the allocation of limited resources within the health system. While such contracts may contribute to economic efficiency, their impact on equity in access to treatments may be less pronounced. The add-on list primarily exists in countries that operate under the diagnosis-related group model, which categorizes patients into homogeneous groups based on their medical conditions. In these systems, the financing of treatment is based on the average cost determined for patients with a similar disease, and this amount is reimbursed to the hospital by the public payer. Subsequently, it becomes the responsibility of the hospital to manage its budget accordingly. However, when faced with exceptionally expensive and innovative drugs, the payment structure based on DRGs may be inadequate. It can lead some hospitals to refrain from offering certain treatments or engage in adverse selection to avoid patients with specific conditions. In this context, to address this issue, the add-on list has been created by public authorities and comprises innovative and expensive drugs primarily intended for hospital use. By excluding these therapies from DRG-based payments, their costs no longer burden the hospital budgets. The add-on list aims to promote fairness in treatment between hospital and within a hospital by facilitating access to innovative drugs. It also plays a role in supporting medical innovation. Nonetheless, mechanisms may be implemented to moderate its equitable nature, such as incentives for hospital efficiency, the listing and registration processes. In some countries, the funds allocated to this type of list may also be capped, resulting in queuing phenomena. Early or timely access refers to the provision of access to a specific drug for a new indication before recommendation from the corresponding marketing authorization are issued. It can be regarded as promoting equity by ensuring that patients who would otherwise be deprived of relevant treatment gain access simultaneously with patients in other countries. 3 acceptance of this mechanism exists. Named patient programs allow physicians to request access to a specific medicine for an individual patient who has a critical medical need. NPPs are typically used for patients who have exhausted all available treatment options and for whom there are no suitable alternatives. These programs are often employed for compassionate use purposes. They are also used for rare disease patients. Expanded access programs provide access to investigational medicines that are still undergoing clinical trials but show promise in treating serious or life-threatening conditions. EAPs usually target patients who do not qualify for ongoing clinical trials but may benefit from the experimental treatment. Conditional marketing authorizations are granted by regulatory authorities, such as the European Medicines Agency, when the benefits of a medicine outweigh the risks, but additional data are still required. CMAs allow patients to access new medicines while post-authorization studies are conducted to gather further evidence on safety or efficacy. Thank you for your attention.